Hello and welcome back to Geek Power Toy Reviews. In today's episode, we'll be taking a look at Star Wars The Black Series, Star Wars Rebels Edition, Ahsoka Tano 6-inch action figure from Hasbro Toys. So without further ado, let's dive straight into the episode. And here she is, our Ahsoka Tano action figure from Star Wars Rebels in the Star Wars The Black Series packaging. Straight at the top we see the black and white Star Wars logo and the Black Series description embossed on the matte black backing. In the window we see the full Ahsoka Tano action figure with both her lightsabers with both blades ejected. Along the bottom in purple and black lettering we see Star Wars Rebels, signifying which part of the Star Wars universe this action figure comes from. Just below that we have Ahsoka's name tag in full purple lettering. We have a choking hazard warning down the bottom, a suggestion that this action figure is for 4 ages and up, and then in the bottom right hand corner we have the Hasbro Toys logo. If we turn the packaging to the side, we have a nice glossy image of a hyper-realized version of Ahsoka from Star Wars Rebels. Of course, in the series she was much older, so she looks a lot more mature than the way she did in Star Wars The Clone Wars. And just at the bottom we also see Ahsoka's name once again, this time in black lettering. On the back of the packaging we have a close-up image of the one we saw on the side of the packaging, a continuation of the Star Wars The Black Series logo and Ahsoka's name in purple lettering on the black background. We also have a small description which reads, Ahsoka Tano, a Togruta female, was the Padawan learner of Anakin Skywalker and a hero of the Clone Wars. Alongside Anakin, she grew from headstrong student into mature leader, but her destiny laid along a different path than the Jedi. Just below the description, we see that she is number 7 in the Star Wars Rebels Edition series, and then we have more warnings about choking hazards. We have the Disney logo just in the bottom right hand corner to the left of the Hasbro logo. When we take a look at the other side of the packaging, we see a side-on view of the action figure within, a continuation of the purple strip that goes along the bottom of the packaging, and another Star Wars The Black Series logo on the side. On the top we have a little window that gives you a slight look at the action figure within, and on the bottom we've got the barcode and a bunch of other legals and trademark information there. Now, let's get the figure out of the packaging and take a closer look. And here is our Star Wars Rebels Edition Ahsoka Tano action figure out of the packaging. First things first, I love the soft goods used on the waist cape for the action figure. It doesn't impede any of the articulation whatsoever, and it just works really well covering all the important areas of Ahsoka Tano's wardrobe, basically. And as I've got her up close, I just want to show you straight away how beautiful of a face scan we have here for Ahsoka. All the details look so crisp. I mean, there's a little scuff mark just there, but you barely notice it as you're playing with it. I think the gloss used on the eyeballs really help make it look hyper realistic. The colours used for the head tails just look beautiful. The blue contrasted with the white just really works. I think the bright silver used on the headband here is nice and shiny. I can't see any paint bleeds. Maybe one or two, but nothing major. And then the colour used for the lipstick just looks great. Looking at the back of the head sculpt, you've got the continuation of the third head tail just there. And again, some minor paint bleeds and a little lack of paint just there. But all in all, a great sculpt, great detailing and great colour. As we look at her arm detailing, her sleeves that go from just under her shoulder all the way down to her fingers look great. I like the little spacing in the wrap here, showing her natural skin colour. And then the gauntlets for her forearms are really well detailed. I love the little bits of yellow on the buttons there. And then the armour plating on the back of her fist. On this side, it's very much the same, a continuation of the arm sleeve wrapping here, the armour plating down the forearm and on the back of the fist, and then those three little yellow buttons, which just really pop. Looking at the main torso of the action figure, you got the armour plating here, covering the torso, a orange and yellow button just there, and you can see she has her undershirt, which is very much like a v-neck cut-off type design, which goes all the way down to the waist. And as we look at the waist, she has almost like a Greco-Roman loincloth, but for a female. Some of the other influences are definitely samurai based from Japanese history. The way the belt wraps around is very Romo Greek, I guess, from Greece, yeah. And then the side armor pieces for the legs, and then the loincloth at the front, all highlighted with bright silver piping to really highlight and accentuate the details. And then you can just about see the markings on the front here, which just really, when you get the light to hit it just right, you can really appreciate all the fine details on this action figure. And then if we look at the back, we've got a continuation of the armour coming down from the belt, covering the rear. Once again, all with bright silver piping and lovely moulded details. And if we go back to the side armour, we've got little hooks here which are perfect for putting the lightsaber hilts on when the blades are detached. And then once again, here's that lovely soft goods cape that I told you about at the beginning. And it doesn't impede the articulation whatsoever. Nothing gets hindered, it's all working nice and smoothly. She then has a similar colour of leggings to her armour piece for the top half of her legs. Then there's the knee pads just here and here. And then when you look at her boots, they're a nice, almost olive green colour with a little striping detail of dark tan. That carries on with her boots, then that same almost olive green with the racing stripe following down to the feet. And before we talk about the articulation, I just want to talk about the accessories which are included. So with this being a Jedi action figure, of course, it's going to come with a lightsaber. In this case, with it being Ahsoka Tano, she comes with two. So here is her first lightsaber. It's a very traditional straight hilt design, and then there's that little loop to put on the hooks on the side of the action figure. And what I like about this one is the lightsaber blade is a very pale blue. I remember in Star Wars Rebels it was basically like a starry white colour, but adding that tiny little bit of blue really helps add to it, really helps it feel beautiful in many ways. Other details on the lightsaber hilt are the actuator button in a dark brown, and then the moulded details of the hand grip and what could possibly be the dial to help you decide on the length of the blade. On the back it's quite nice and smooth with a tiny little button detail just there. And that little loop to put on the hooks even has small details at the bottom there, really help accentuating the lightsaber hilt design. Moving on to her second lightsaber, this one has more of a curved hilt, but it has a lot more detail than the previous one. As you can see, there's black paint done to highlight the grips, the buttons and the actuator. There's even a little wavy line there in the design. And yeah, again, we've got a nice little loop here to go over the hook on the side of the action figure's armour. And then once again, we have another pale blue lightsaber blade. The important thing to remember about this one is it's slightly longer than the straight hilted lightsaber blade. And it really helps when you want to designate different fighting styles, whether they be close quarters or longer range attacks, really. And just so you can see what it looks like in the action figure's hand, I'll just grab the action figure and pop the longer blade in this hand. Like so. And then the shorter blade in this hand. And then if we pose her around like so. So we can almost get I'm in a bit of trouble here. But there we go, so she can be put into a more defensive lightsaber pose. Or let's say she's running and you want her to have her lightsaber blades out at the same time. She can do that, almost looking slightly Naruto-esque with her running position. And then there's always the more relaxed position as she's maybe waiting for her opponent to make their first move. And now let's look at all the articulation possibilities with this action figure. So moving on to the articulation, let's start with the head of the Ahsoka action figure. You can turn the head to the left that much and to the right that much, with the action figure being on a ball joint. You can make it look up that far and down that far. It is hindered by the head tails, but I still think the main left to right motion is still quite substantial for an action figure of this style. The arms allow you to rotate them a full 360 degrees. They can rotate out that far. And they're done on a ball-like joint. So they're not a full ball joint, but they give you a reasonable amount of articulation. The elbows also have a ball-like joint. They allow you to bend them to 90 degrees and straight out. They also give you the ability to swivel for 360 degrees. You've also got in Ahsoka's right hand the ability to tilt it like so. And then you can still rotate 360 degrees. Now the articulation in the left arm is exactly the same for the shoulder and the elbow. However, for the hands, you can still rotate it 360 degrees, but you can also swivel it in and out horizontally, like so. Now moving on to the torso articulation. So the torso articulation is on a ball joint, which allows you to rotate it like so. You can bend it side to side, and you can even give her an ab crunch, like so. There's no waist articulation, but that's okay. Moving on to the legs, you can kick the legs out that far. And again, there's no hindered articulation because of the soft goods cape. It really still gives it the full range of motion that you'd expect. You can also kick back that far, which is crazy. You can kick to the side, like so. Now kicking out to the side is a little bit hindered because of the side armor, but all in all, it's not too bad. So if we kick the other side out, you see it's not too bad. And then there's also a articulation cut at the thigh to rotate out like that. The knees have 2 points of articulation that allow you to bend it that far. And then the feet, there's articulation forward and back. You're able to rotate it like so. And then there's even ankle pivot. All the articulation in the legs are the same on both sides. And here is a final look at all the details on the action figure. So overall, I really do like the Star Wars The Black Series Star Wars Rebels Edition Ahsoka Tano action figure. I really enjoyed her introduction into Star Wars Rebels at the end of Season 1, and the design for a more grown-up version of Ahsoka really works, not just in animation, but also in live action, like we've seen in Star Wars The Mandalorian, and what we're going to see in Star Wars Ahsoka. All the details, whether they be painted or moulded, have really come out quite beautifully in this action figure. The articulation is exactly what I'd expect when getting dynamic poses, whether that be with or without the lightsabers. I've really enjoyed reviewing this figure for you today. If you've also enjoyed it, please give me a like on the video. If you're a new viewer, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. I hope you have a fantastic day and you've had a geektacular time. Until next time, I'll see you soon.